Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for dropping in to my replay viewers. Thank you so much for the replay. And for our web viewers, thank you so much for watching from the web. We'd love to have you join us in a live broadcast. To our Catch viewers, thank you so much for stopping in and playing us on Catch. And to my live viewers, thank you so much. We appreciate the time that you do take with us. We know that it is time is very precious. And how you spend it is your choice, of course. But most importantly, we don't get that time back. So we do appreciate that you spend that time with us. For those of you who are regular Scope viewers, let me turn that down. I just pulled it up on the laptop so that I would be able to see the comments and see who's coming in, because it's my phone. It's kind of hard to see it from there. But for those of you who are the regular viewers, normally I scope Tuesday through Friday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And then Saturdays, I do my morning meditation scope. And so I've switched it around in the new year. I'm now doing the scopes Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Okay? And so please stop by. I appreciate you guys coming in. So let me tell you a little bit about who I am. My name is LaShawn. I'm a mental health family caregiver and a mental health survivor. I am the founder of a nonprofit organization out of Houston, Texas, in which we support mental health family caregivers and their families as they are supporting their loved one, learning to juggle the demands and the care demands of their loved ones, teaching them how to best maximize their time, right? And how to get the best out of the recovery, not just for the loved one, but for the family as a whole. We believe very much that the support that you get during your mental health recovery is very important. And so that gives you an idea about who I am and what I do. Today I covered a topic I shared on all of our social media sites, grandparents, the caregiver, the mental health caregiver. Grandparents are caregivers too. And in that blog, I shared a story from when I was a young girl and my mom became a caregiver for the first time for a family member, which was my aunt. And she, she took on the responsibility of caring for my aunt's baby, which was our cousin, her niece. And how drastic of a change that can be for a family, and how my grandmother at the time couldn't be the caregiver. She wasn't able to be the one to step in, but how later my mom wound up also, being a caregiver to my youngest sister, and now taking on the responsibility of my nephews. And so I shared that because a lot of people are not fully aware that they are family caregivers, and there are a lot of people who have family caregivers in their families. They're not aware that they are family caregivers. They just know, grandma is always the one who, steps in the gap and takes care of the family members who need help or need assistance, right? And in the blog, I'll read a little bit for you. It says, my mother has her own physical health challenges like diabetes, hypertension, carpal tunnel, a bad back, and a host of other injuries that has resulted in her finding it difficult to greet a day without pain. She came out of retirement so that she could provide for the boys who she needed to buy things for. And at the time, my sister could not be of assistance to her or the boys. Getting the boys dressed for school every day, fixing their breakfast, driving them to school is sometimes a challenge, especially during the cold days when arthritis is taking up residency in her and she has to lift my youngest nephew into the car. She's been taking care of my oldest nephew since he was 3 months old and my youngest nephew since he was a newborn. Lifting car seats out of the car, diaper bags, toys, bikes, and chasing energetic boys around the park were her new duties in addition to returning to work full time. What is often not discussed within our communities is how many grandparents are living this life right now, the life of a family caregiver. if you go into the schools and do a poll of how many children are in the care of their grandparents because their parents are battling mental illnesses, you would be so surprised of how many children there are in the custody of their grandparents. I bumped into two ladies at the mental health hospital here in Houston. And one of the ladies, the older ladies, it was her daughter with her. She talked to me about how she was caring for her grandchildren. She had 3 grandchildren, 2 of who had been diagnosed with a mental illness. Her daughter was also mentally ill, but was then at the time in the mental hospital, and then the father for the children was at the time in prison. And she talks so much about how difficult it was in trying to manage the care of the children, manage going up to see and visit with the daughter when the daughter was home, taking care of the daughter, managing the day-to-day demands, not just of her daughter, but of the children. And how, getting up and getting to the school to talk with the teachers to ensure that the kids are receiving the right treatment, that they're not being mistreated in class. One of the children was being pulled out of class constantly because there were behavioral problems that they're still trying to resolve. And so in talking with her, it made me think about, my own instances in our family in which there are many caregivers. It made me think about in my neighborhood, in my communities when I was growing up, how many caregivers there were, and what if people actually knew at the time that they were. Thank you for joining, honey, and thank you for sharing. How many people at the time, if they knew, that they were caregivers, would have sought the help that they needed and been able to be of better service to their loved ones, right? And so it kind of makes you wonder how many people are out there who are within our communities, in our neighborhoods, in our churches, in our schools, who are actually mental health family caregivers and don't know it, and that people don't know that they need the assistance, right? People assume that, oh, well, that's Sister so-and-so, she's taking care of her daughter's kids. She has custody of them now, and that's what's going on, and I feel so bad for her. She's raised all her kids, and now here she is having to raise her grandkids. And some of the grandparents are even on the great-grandchildren. They've raised their children, and now they've raised the children's children, and now the children's children are home, and they've had children that they've brought home for grandma to take care of, right? And so some of the things that I wanted to share today were some of the tips that I shared earlier this morning on the blog, in ways in which we can help grandparents who are caregivers, and those of you who may not know or may not have known that they were caregivers and now have the knowledge of, oh, well, maybe my grandma's a caregiver, right? Oh, well, maybe my neighbor's a caregiver, or maybe Sister so-and-so at church is a caregiver. So I wanted to share some ways that you can be of assistance to a family caregiver who is a grandparent, okay? And so one of the ways, number one, would be to pray for them and encourage them, right? I talk constantly on my scopes about how important a spiritual foundation is for someone on their journey to mental health. It is also very important for those who are supporting loved ones with mental illnesses, because, there are times when judgment almost goes to the wind, especially when you are having a trying, difficult time, when a loved one may be having symptoms. They may be, experiencing mania. They may be experiencing depression. They may be struggling with staying compliant, taking their medication, going to their therapy. And I do need to do a disclaimer. I'm a mental health family caregiver. I'm not a clinician, and I'm not a professional psych person at all. I share what I know as a result of my research during the time that I had my recovery and during the time of being a caregiver for my son. So whatever I share here with you is through my experience, through the experience I've gained, the information I've gained from talking to other mental health family caregivers, also from study and research, and people that I've followed online and the videos that I've done and watched and researched. That is how I was able to be successful in not just my own recovery, but in supporting my son through his recovery. And so, as I was saying, praying for our mental health family caregivers who are grandparents, encouraging them, checking on them, right? Making sure they're okay, not just passing by, hey, sister so-and-so, how you doing today? Or, hey, miss so-and-so, just want to say hi. How are you and the kids doing? Actually stop and listen to them. They may share something with you that, a need that you can feel, right? So, I mean, being there, being aware, being engaging them, that's a good way to be able to find out what they need. Be observant. Do the children need shoes? Does the grandmother need shoes? Does she need a coat? These are things that you can do and be very observant with by paying attention. We do so much greeting just in passing. Oh, how are you? Oh, I'm fine. And it becomes so automatic. Sometimes we answer the other person before they've even said, oh, I'm fine. We'll say, oh, well, that's good. And they haven't even said anything, right? And so it just comes down to actually stopping, waiting, listening for the response, and responding in kind, right? And so praying for our family caregivers who are grandparents is a way of asking God to give them strength, asking God to empower them, to help them to receive the resources that they need, help us to be of assistance to them, right? We could even ask them to go to church with us. We could even offer to take the children to church with us. That gives the grandparents a break, right? So addressing their spiritual needs first is a great way to be of assistance to a mental health family caregiver that is a grandparent. A second way is to offer to take the children out with your children for a day at the park so that the grandparent can have some time to rest or take a nap, right? You'd be surprised just an hour away from the house what that could do to help the grandparent just to relax, just to have a moment to be quiet without the kids bouncing off the walls and running around and keeping up, noise and the grandparent trying to either, take care of things that's necessary for the children, or maybe even see after the loved one who has the mental illness that may be in the home as well. Okay, so that's another way that you can help. Another way is pay for a cleaning service to do housework for the grandparents, right? What if you stop by to see sister so-and-so and you notice the house was in disarray? And you know that she's struggling, and she tells you, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Every time I clean up, these kids come behind me, and they go and they mess up everything all over again, and I can't seem to catch up. And you can say, well, you know what? I would love to do something nice for you, because I can see how much work you do and how hard you're working to help your loved one, with the grandbaby. So let me hire a cleaning service for you, or let me and a couple of friends come over and help you to clean up and organize things so that it's easier for you, right? Because we want to try and be as big of support as we can for those who are supporting loved ones with mental illnesses, because they need as much help as they can get. The more support they have, the less stress and tension and anxiety they have in their lives, and they are able to offer a better quality of care to their loved one, right? And so another one would be mow the lawn for the grandparent, right? Sometimes they aren't able to get out in the yard anymore. Maybe, with taking care of the kids, as I used an example for my mom, when my sister didn't have a source of income and my mom was taking care of my nephews, she actually had to come out of retirement to go back to work in order to, provide for them. And there were times when it was really tough, and sometimes you have to, because she had the ability to pull from her resources, she was able to take care of it. But what about the parents and the grandparents who don't have those resources, right? What about the parents and the grandparents who, all of their little money, is going on, their medication for themselves, and they're probably filling in the gap for medications for their loved one. And then there's food to buy, right? And then there's bills, and electricity goes up. The cost of utilities goes up with the more people you have in the house. So sometimes that can kind of stretch the amount of money that they have, and limits what they can do with that. So being able to fall in and say, hey, you know what? I don't even have to go up and knock on the door. I saw, neighbor so-and-so's yard, and I'm just going to go over and I'm going to run the lawnmower over and the edge or whatever, and I'll take care of it for them, right? So it's just being proactive. Seeing a need and filling it, not waiting. Just going ahead and jump in and filling the need. Not saying, how can I help you? But actually being of help, right? Another way is you can go to the grocery store for them. Stop by and get their grocery list and buy their groceries if you have the finances to. There is let me see, what is it called? There is a business associate of mine that we are in a business coaching group. And she actually has a really great service that she offers to people who are indoors. And so it's a grocery service. And she's in the Ohio area. So if you guys are in the Ohio area, it's a really great service to be able to offer to a family caregiver, a loved one who may be in need of someone getting to the grocery store for them and they're unable to do so themselves. She made a mention that one of the reasons that she decided to offer the service is because a lot of times it's pretty cold in their state, and it really helps those who aren't able to get out and about in the weather, right? And so I'm waiting for it to come up here. I don't know why it's taking so long. Okay, let's see where you are. And so that's a great way to be able to be of assistance to a family caregiver, to actually go to the grocery store and, get a list from them. See what the things they are that they need. Sister so-and-so or Miss so-and-so, I noticed that, you were, you know, um, coming back from the store the other day and it's called bringmemygroceries.com. That's her website, you guys. bringmemygroceries.com. So any family caregivers in the Ohio area, that's a really great service. She's able to go do your grocery shopping for you and bring it directly to your door. So, I mean, what more can you ask for, right? So, as friends, as neighbors, as church members, as co-workers, when we know there's someone who's struggling, we know there's someone who's a family caregiver, and they're trying to make a way out of no way, right? And they're struggling with their little ones and the care of their loved one. What better way than to say, you know what, I'll take up that task for you. I'll go to the grocery store and make sure that you have what you need, right? So that's another great way to do it. Another way is to donate clothes to the grandparent for the children, especially right now when we're in Houston, Texas, and we have been in the lower 40s in the evenings and getting up. I think today we got up to 56 during the day. So a great way to be able to help a family caregiver who's a grandparent is to take over clothes. Your children may have clothes that they don't have, aren't wearing anymore, may have grown out of, or extras. Maybe you're cleaning out closets. Or you can even go and buy some nice things, right? You can go to Walmart, Target, buy some nice things and give them to the grandparents so the children will have something warm to wear. Goodwill is another option. You can go and, purchase some things from Goodwill, wash them up real nice, put some fabric softener on them, take them by the house, give them to the grandparent for the children, right? That's another cost that they don't have to incur, right? That's something that they don't have to worry about. That's another one thing crossed off their list of worries. Another way is you can pay a utility bill for them, right? What do we find the most troublesome when we are at the lowest of our finances? Our utilities, because they're a necessity, right? We have to pay those. Those are a necessity. And a lot of times, people who have limited income, they have to trim monies off of, other things like groceries, right? Gas money, things of that nature, transportation dollars that they would need to take the kids to and from appointments and to school. So being able to help them by paying a utility bill, really takes the pressure off them and gives that money back to the household where they can do something like buy groceries, pay for medication, gas money to and from taking the children to practice and to school, right? Or the loved one to a doctor's appointment, or the family caregiver to go and see after themselves, right? So that's another way that we could be of assistance to them. Another way you can do it is to give a gift of money. They can always decide where they need it at best, right? I mean, gift cards are great. Cash in a envelope or a card is great. Just something nice to be able to take the pressure off of them so that they're not having to worry about, where is this going to come from? Because as we get up and we pray, I get up and I pray every morning, meditation and prayer. And when we pray and we ask God to have us to be of use, right? How can I be of service, Lord? What can I do today to change someone's life? That's the way that you can change someone's life. That's the way that you can give some hope back to someone else. And you can say, you know what? This was a God moved me and put this on my heart to do this for you. So you don't know what that can do for them in terms of changing their relationship, with God and having them to build a closer relationship with the Lord, right? So we always are looking out for a way to help others and doing so in the name of the Lord. In the name of the Lord. We can also send the grandparent out for some self-care like a pedicure or a foot massage, right? Who is going to turn down a foot massage or a pedicure? I know I won't. So that's a good way that, you can send them out, because how often is a grandparent going to go and say, you know what? I'm going to go and stop doing everything for everybody else and go and sit down and take some time for me. They're not going to do it. So why not grab a couple of members from the church, take up the kids, they go one way and you and the grandparent go another way, and treat them to, a pedicure or a foot massage. That's a great way to say, you know what, we see what you're doing, and we want you to know there are people here who support you. We want you to know that there are people here who respect what you're doing and know how tough it is, and we don't want you to be alone, okay? And so that's a way of showing appreciation and keeping them feeling loved and appreciated. Another way we can do it is we can cook food for the whole week for them so they don't have to worry about getting in from practice with the children and cooking. When I went down to visit my mom after she had her surgery, I made sure I made food for the whole entire week for her and the boys and my sister. I put them in containers. I told her before the surgery, before I even got down to California, I said, I need you to go and buy all the Tupperware that you can and have it there and ready for me. I'm going to go and take all the groceries. I'm going to do all the cooking. And I cooked good for them so that they would have it over the week, right? And then there were other members in her religious members came in, and they were helping her as well. And so that's the way that we can be of service to the caregivers who are grandparents. We can do the things for them that, they may find taxing, pressuring, and on top of everything else they have to do. Because you think about it, and when you're getting up in age and you're getting older, depending on what your physical challenges are, what your own mental health is, you have to struggle through your own challenges in order to get up and get going, right? So imagine being older, and we start to slow down as we get older. We start to have a little more pain. And so imagine how difficult it is for us to get out of bed in the morning, and then now think about how that is for an older one to get up every day and possibly be up, late at night, and then have to get up early in the morning and get little people ready and argue and fuss and struggle with them because we know they have their own agenda for the day. I'm not wearing this, I'm not doing that, and I don't want to eat, and I don't want that for breakfast, So they're having that to go through that through the course of their day, and then on top of that come home and then engage and take and continue the care demands for the loved one they're caring for, right? As well as the chores and any appointments they have for that day. So any way that we can take, any way that we can take some of that pressure off of our family caregivers who are grandparents, let's pitch in and do that. At your church, if you have a church and you don't have a ministry for caregivers, that's something to consider. If you don't have a ministry for grandparents who are caregivers, that's something to consider. Those are conversations to have during your church meetings. because this is a need and it's real. And so, if the church members don't understand or know what a family caregiver is, go online to Google, print out the paperwork, show what it is, show how, and have the church to do a poll. How many people here are, grandparents and taking care of your grandkids, right? You would be surprised the amount of members that there are that are taking care of grandkids, right? And so when you're at work, be mindful. Look at and look around you. Who in your department has, is saying that, oh, well, I have to leave because I have to go and pick my grandbaby up, or I have to leave because I have to go and take, it's done, that's all. Okay. I have to leave and go and take care of my loved one, right? So I wanted to, come in and talk with you guys about that today because it's a very important um, issue before us all as a society. Mental illnesses and family caregivers are one of the most important factors in mental health recovery, and we are not taking care of them the way we should be. Right now, I have a 21-day program that I'm doing for those who are family caregivers or who are in support of family caregivers, and showing you how to manage your day, how to spread the care demands, and how to address issues within the family unit so that there's some cohesiveness and that you're able to be a unit and able to assist your loved one and the family caregiver. You can drop by my page at homagi.org. Check us out. It's called Priority Break Me. That's our year's theme, our annual theme for self-care. I thank you guys so much for dropping in. I appreciate you. If you're a replay viewer, thank you so much. And my catch viewers, thank you again. And I'll see you guys again tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. May God give us peace as our pillows, and may God bless us all real good. Good night, you guys.